Heinz, Heinz, 91.
Can you please tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury how old you are?
I'm 19 years old.
And you go to school?
Yeah, I'm going to be attending Alfred State University,
What are you going to study?
heavy machinery operations.
And prior to Alfred State University, were you in school?
I just ended a postgraduate year at Bridgeton Academy.
And did you play any sports?
Yeah, I played football there. I'm working at the UPS store in Fairfield.
Now, prior to your testimony today, have you and I met?
Yes, we have
How many times?
3, 4
And why did we meet?
to talk about today.
And I want to direct your attention to May 14th of 2022. How old were you back
I was 16 years old.
then? And did you go to school?
Yes, I did.
Where did you go to school?
I was in Shelton High School.
And did you play any sports?
Yeah, I played football and baseball.
And what year in school were you?
I was a sophomore at the time.
You were a rising sophomore, or were you ending your sophomore?
I was ending my sophomore year.
So I want to direct your attention to earlier on in the day on May 14th of 2022. You familiar with Griffin Marcy?
Yes, I am.
How do you know Griffin?
Griffin's a really good friend of mine. Ever since I moved to Shelton, he's been one of my first buddies.
And did you and Griffin hang out somewhere earlier in the day on May 14th of 2022?
Oh, yeah, I think we hung out at his house for a little bit that day.
Around what time would you say you were at his house?
Getting closer to the evening time.
And at some point, did you leave his house?
Yes, I did.
And where did you guys go?
Natalia Rizdick's house.
And how did you get to Natalia Ridzik house?
I believe we walked.
Is it close?
Yeah, it's only 2-3 streets away.
And when you got to Natalia Ridzik house, what kind of things were you guys doing there?
Just sat down, hanging out. She had a couple people over. No more than like eight of us there.
Now, were you guys drinking alcohol?
Yes, we were.
And were you drinking?
Yes, I was.
And how much were you drinking?
I would say at her house, no more than 2 beers.
Did you drink at Griffin's house prior to going to
No.
Natalia's house? When you went to Natalia's house, did you bring any alcohol with you?
Yes, I did.
And what did you have with you?
I had a 12-pack of Bud Light with me.
And you said you drank 2 beers out of that Bud Light?
Yeah.
Okay. And how long would you say you were at Natalia Ridzik's house?
30, 40 minutes, something like that.
And at some point in time, did you and Griffin leave Natalia's?
Yes, we did.
Why did you leave Natalia's?
Because we were invited to Austin Leifer's house.
And do you know where Austin Leifer's house is?
Yes, it's on the Lazy.
And did you in fact go to Lazy Brook Road?
Yes, we did.
And how did you get there?
Tichnowski drove us there.
And when Tanner Chernowski drove you there, was it just you and Griffin?
Yeah.
And at some point in time, did he drop you off?
Yeah, he
Brook Road, around what time do you think he dropped you off?
Gosh, around like 7, 8 o'clock, somewhere around there.
And around 7, 8 o'clock, what was the lighting up?
It was still daylight out.
And at some point in time, was it getting dark?
Yeah.
And when you got to Lazy Brook Road, can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what happened when you got there?
So we showed up there. We were just walking up the driveway, and then the garage door was open, and we just heard music and noise, and we walked into the garage, and that's about as far as we got in.
Now, when you got to Lazy Brook Road, were you drinking a beer down the driveway?
No, I still was only at 2 beers.
And you say you got as far as the garage. Why did you only get as far as the garage?
Because as we're about to walk into like what you would like the door from the garage, like into the house, there's 3 or 4 people getting kicked out, it seemed like, of that door and getting told to leave.
And do you know who those people were?
At the time, no.
Do you know who they are now?
Yes, I do.
And who are they?
The defendant, Jack Snyder, and Tyler De Silva.
And you say the defendant. Who is the defendant?
Raul Valle.
And is Raul Valle in the courtroom today?
Yes, he is.
And what is he wearing?
A black suit.
When you say you were trying to get into the house and the defendant and his friends were what you deemed being kicked out of the party, tell me what happened at that time.
Him and his friends started just questioning us who we were and asking what our business was there.
And what was your response to that?
Austin had invited us over. I played football with Austin for a year in 8th grade for Shelton. Became pretty good friends with him. And he had told me and Griffin that night, come over, I'm having a party, come over.
When you got to Lazy Brook, did you notice if there was any drinking going on at that house?
Oh, yes, sir.
And when you responded to the defendant and his friends telling them that you were there because you were invited by Austin, what was their reaction to that?
They didn't care. They didn't seem to ask Austin who we were. They didn't care. They weren't worried about if we were invited or not. They weren't worried about that.
Was the defendant saying anything to you in particular during those?
No, not really. It was more of Snyder that was saying stuff to me.
And at some point in time, how long would you think that interaction between you and the defendant and his friends lasted for?
About 2 or 3 minutes.
Did this interaction happen inside the
Yeah,
garage?
all in the garage.
At some point in time, did the interaction between you and the defendant and his friends extend to outside the garage?
Yes, it did.
Tell us about how that happened.
So basically, it started with Snyder asking me for a beer because I had my 12 pack in my hands. And I actually said, yeah, sure, you can have a beer. And then the defendant asked me for a beer also. I said, yeah, sure, you can have a beer. I gave each of them a beer. And they were just like, they weren't okay with that. They were started getting very argumentative with us, still wanting to know who we were, why we're there, and insisting that I give up my whole entire pack of beers for them.
And what happened after they insisted that you give up your beers?
Like I said, I gave each of them one beer. I was just like, is that all right? Like, can we just be cool about this? And for a second, it seemed like, yeah. They were like, yeah, sure. It's cool. It's fine. And we're like, all right, cool. Like, can we get by? And then all of a sudden I get my beer grabbed from out of my hands by Snyder. And then all of a sudden me and Griffin are getting pushed out, not on our own.
And how were you getting pushed out?
Literally got grabbed and just started being walked out by Snyder out of the garage into the driveway.
And once you got out into the driveway, what was your reaction to how you were being treated?
I was in shock. Like I wasn't trying to be an aggressor in any sort of way. I just had given them a beer, trying to be cool, make some friends, whatever. But they were very just like, fuck you, blah, blah, blah. Who are you? All this, that, and another thing.
And at some point in time, did you get angry with
Yes, I did. I got upset with Snyder and I simply said to him, listen, like, that's not how this is going to happen. And I told him, like, I'll fight you for my beer right now.
And so when you told him you would fight for your beer, what did you do at that point?
He said, okay, sure. I don't know where or who had my beer at that point in time. And I kind of just put my hands up, getting ready to fight him.
Now, prior to you getting ready to fight Snyder, do you remember what he was wearing at that point in time?
He was wearing, I believe, some sort of Nike hoodie and some shorts.
Do you remember what the defendant was wearing?
Oh, yeah, he had an Ole Miss baseball shirt on.
You see that the defendant has some helmet on?
Yeah.
Did he have that on?
Old time.
And he has some type of neck pillow on?
Oh, yeah.
Did he have that on when you spoke to him in the garage?
I don't recall.
So when you get out into the driveway, you squared up with Jack. What does that mean, you squared up?
I put my fists up, like, just kind of saying, all right, let's go. Let's do this.
And did Jack, in fact, put his hands up?
Yes, he did.
What happened after that?
I'm kind of looking at Jack, just like kind of walking closer to him, like about to go and punch him. But then it happened so fast where I get hit, like right here, I get hit. And I'm thinking it's Jack that hit me. Like, it happened so fast, but then I'm like, whoa, like he's far away. But it just instincts took over and I just went and tackled Snyder to the ground.
And at some point in time, how long would you say the fight lasted for?
30 seconds.
And do you know who you were fighting with at that moment?
I was just trying to fight Snyder.
And do you know if anybody else was fighting with you?
I felt a lot of blows to the back of my head multiple times, over and over, repeated, getting like what felt like being punched in the back of my head many times while I was just on top of Snyder. And then all of a sudden I'm getting ripped off by my neck, and that was about it.
So I'm going to give a pointer there.
Yeah.
So this is frame 47. The individual here in the red sweatshirt, do you know who that is?
That's Snyder.
Okay. And the guy here in the green sweatshirt and the
That's
black
me.
shorts,
That's me.
do you know who this is behind you?
That's the defendant.
Okay. Just play a little bit. Right there. Frame 100. This individual right here to the left, do you know who that is?
That's De Silva.
Now, after this fight ended, what did you do?
I got my beer back and I left.
Do you know how you got your beer back?
I believe the lifer's mother gave it back to me.
And was there any arguing back and forth going on after this fight ended?
No.
You just grabbed your beer and you took off? Now, when this fight occurred, do you know whether or not, would you recall where Griffin was at the time?
He was like,
You can't see him in the video.
no, he's not in the video. He's like over to the right
Okay.
more. Like,
But he
you
was
kind of
close.
see where those people are standing behind it to the
Okay.
right.
Yep.
He's like a little bit more behind them and to the right. I don't know. I think somebody like grabbed him and
Okay.
like held him back, not letting him.
But in other words, he was close to see what was going on, right?
Yes, Griffin definitely saw.
Now, at some point in time, you grabbed your beer. What did you do? Walk up the driveway?
We'll walk down the driveway.
Walk down the driveway, excuse
Yeah.
me. Okay, when you walked down the driveway, what did you do when you got to the end of the driveway?
Me and Griffin were kind of just standing there like, well, we got to leave, but we don't have a ride or anything like that. But then I can remember there were girls down at the bottom of the driveway and they offered to give us a ride home.
On your States 59, see that? Do you see States 59?
Yes, I do.
Who's this individual in the back here?
That's me.
That's you?
Yep.
And was this picture taken before or after the fight?
Oh, that's after.
And can you see, you look close enough, looks like you have you have like a bloody lip there?
Yeah.
Who's this individual here?
That's Griffin.
And did you know any of these girls that you walked down the driveway?
I did not know.
Why were you involved in this picture?
I don't know.
Because somebody else took it?
Yeah.
Did you get a ride home a ride from Lazy Brook after this picture was taken? Who took you?
One of these girls.
And where did they take you?
Back to Natalia's house.
And when you were at Natalia's house, did you drink any alcohol there?
No, I didn't.
How long would you say you were at Natalia's house after they gave you a ride there? How long were you there?
10 minutes.
10 minutes? Now, at some point in time between Lazy Brook and Natalia's house, did you become aware of a group chat that had started?
Yes.
And tell us about that.
That was a group chat that I had been added to a week or two prior, actually.
Why were you added to it? Do you know why?
I really don't know, to be honest. My buddy Michael Kinnick added me to it. It was his little like basketball group chat to go play at the community center with some buddies. And I just remember that group chat, like there would be a lot of shit talking that happened in that group chat, like all the time. And he just one day added me to it and was just like, talk some shit to these kids, blah, blah, blah. That's really all I remember
So
about
you didn't actually go play basketball?
No, you could ask any of my friends. I don't really like playing basketball.
The individuals that you just got into an altercation with back at Lazy Brook, did they go to school with you?
Just Griffin.
Griffin went to school with you, but did the defendant go to school with you?
No.
Do you know where he went to
He
school?
went to St. Joe's.
What about Jack Snyder?
He went to St. Joe's as well.
What about Tyler DeSilva?
He went to St. Joe's.
Do you know if any of the girls in this picture here, that's States 59, do you know if any of the girls in this picture, did you go to school with any of these girls?
No.
Do you know where they went to school?
I believe St. Joe's.
Now, in this group chat, were you aware as to whether or not individuals from St. Joe's were added to the group chat?
I was not aware. I saw a lot of phone numbers being added to it, but I didn't know who was who and all that.
Do you know whether or not what was said, but do you know whether or not any commentary that was going on in the group chat when you were driving from Lazy Brook to to Natalia's house had anything to do with what had just happened at Lazy Brook?
No.
Were you in fact involved in the group chat from Lazy Brook to Natalia's house?
Not that I recall.
Do you know whether or not Griffin was at that point?
Not that I recall.
So when you get to Natalia's house, you said you're there for 10 to 15 minutes. And at some point in time, you leave Natalia's house.
Yes, I did.
Why?
Charlie came and picked us up.
Charlie who? And how do you know Charlie Connery?
Good friend of mine.
And did you go to high school with him?
Yes, I did.
Now, at some point in time, after you leave Lazy Brook, when you get to Natalia's house, do you text message anybody about what happened to you at Lazy Brook?
No, everybody like already knew for some reason. Like I didn't go around telling people all this and that about what happened. I didn't really care that much. I didn't tell anybody about it. Everybody just already knew.
Well, in fact, at Lazy Brook, did you go there to fight?
No, I just came because Austin invited me
So Charlie Connery came and picked you up from Natalia's house. Where did he take you?
to the richest house,
And when you say the richest house, who's the richest?
Tyler Rich.
How do you know Tyler Rich?
I just played football with him that past year.
Did you go to school with him?
Just for like that sophomore year because due to COVID, like freshman year, all that stuff. So freshman, sophomore year, you could say, yeah, I went to school with him.
States Exhibit 5, do you recognize this house?
Yes,
Whose house?
Tyler Rich's house.
And when you got to Tyler Rich's house, did you go in immediately inside the house?
Yes, I did.
And how many people would you say were there when you got there?
20 to 30.
And when you got there, what kind of things were going on inside the house?
I just had like people coming up to me and questioning me like what had happened, just wanted to know what had happened. I wasn't like everybody like I said before, they already knew. I don't know how they knew, but they knew what had happened. And I just simply explained to the people that asked me what had happened.
And did you in fact tell them what happened at Lazy Brook?
Yes, I did.
Now, when you were, aside from what you told people happened at Lazy Brook, what other things were going on inside Tyler Rich's house?
Conversation.
People hanging out?
Yeah.
Were people drinking alcohol?
Yes.
Did you see who was drinking alcohol, or was it just kind of just there and people?
Yeah. Just
What kind of alcohol was being consumed? Do you remember?
just beers or a seltzer, something like that.
Did you bring your beer
Yes.
or what was left of them with you to Tyler Rich's house? Did you in fact drink any alcohol when you were at Tyler Rich's house? One beer. Now, when you got to Tyler Rich's house, how did you enter the house? Do you remember?
Through the cellar side doors.
Do you recall where the cellar side doors are?
Yeah, it's on the right of the house.
So if I'm pointing to this area here. Is this around the area where you came into the house?
Yeah.
So it would be what, on the other side of this AC unit? Do you know who that is?
It's Faison.
And how do you know?
Just went to school with him and played a season of football with
Do you know whether or not Faison was at Tyler Rich's house when you got there?
him. I don't know.
Or was he there at some point in the
Yes.
night? Showing you States 55? Do you know who that is?
Yeah,
Who is that?
that's Tommy Connery.
And how do you know Tommy?
He's Charlie's older brother.
And was he there when you got to Tyler Rich's house?
I believe so. I wasn't really looking around to see who was there, who wasn't there, but yeah, I believe
You
he
said there
was
were 30 people there.
Yeah, he was there.
Did you take into account every single person that was at that night? But do you recall seeing Charlie there? I mean, Tommy there?
Yeah.
How do you know Jimmy McGrath?
I'd met him one time previously at Tyler's house, I think a few months beforehand. That's really my only relation with Jimmy.
Do you recall seeing Jimmy at Tyler's house?
Yes, actually, I remember talking to him. Actually, he was one of the first people I did talk to when I got there. He was asking me what had happened that
Oh,
night.
he's first.
Exactly, yep.
56, who's that?
Me.
And do you know when this picture was taken?
In the hospital.
Now, are you familiar with Enrico Fiola?
Yes,
How do you know Ricky?
very good friend of mine.
And did you go to school with him?
Yes, I did.
And how about Sal Perry? Do you know
Yeah,
Sal
I know
Perry?
Sal.
And how do you know him?
Played football with him.
How about Mike Samperry?
Yes.
How do you know him?
Just friends. Like, just got to meet him when I first got to Shelton. We became good friends. He went to a different high school, but we still remained good friends.
How about Alex Bernstein?
I'd met him like 2 or 3 times prior, just when I was with Tanner, hanging out with him. Alex would come around every now and then.
Now, the individuals I just mentioned, were they all at Tyler Rich's party? Do you remember seeing them?
Yes.
Now, after you got to Tyler Rich's house and you were telling people what had happened, did you guys kind of just hang out for a little bit?
Yeah.
Do you know whether or not this basketball group chat, was this going on at the time?
Yeah, like I wasn't really too involved in it, but I was feeling the notifications going off in my pocket on my phone. My phone, I felt the buzz going off on my phone, and I knew there was stuff being said in there. I just don't know what was being said exactly.
Do you know who was saying anything? And you don't know? You
No.
just, did you glance at it and say, oh, that's the
I would
chat?
just look at it and be like, whatever, put it back in my pocket.
Now, at some point in the night, did individuals show up to Tyler Rich's house that weren't invited?
Yes,
Okay. And how long would you say you were at Tyler Rich's house before that happened?
10, 15 minutes.
How were you made aware that these individuals showed up to Tyler Rich's house?
Everybody was just like, they're here. They showed up, and people started walking outside.
Were you made aware of it through other individuals in the house, or were you also made aware of it through the group chat?
Just other individuals in the house.
Where did you walk from the house?
Through the side where the cellar doors are, and then kind of through the driveway, and then the car was parked roughly right in front of the driveway.
Notice what type of car it was?
Yeah, it was a SUV.
Was it facing towards Adams, or was it facing towards farmhouse? Exhibit 1's behind you if you want
It was facing towards farmhouse.
to. And did you approach this vehicle?
Oh, yes, I did.
And when you approached the vehicle, what side of the vehicle did you approach?
The driver's side.
How far away did you get from the vehicle when you stopped, when you walked up to it? How far away?
I was right next to it.
And did you talk to anybody in the vehicle?
No.
Did you notice anybody in the vehicle?
Yes.
Who did you notice?
I noticed Snyder driving, and then I noticed De Silva, Raul, and Mackenzie Traficante.
Did you notice anybody else in the vehicle?
A few others, but I didn't know who they were.
How many of you approached the vehicle?
10, 15.
And when you approached the vehicle, did anybody have a conversation with anybody in that vehicle?
Yes.
What was the conversation like? Not what was said, but what was it like?
It was, I don't really know how to explain it. Like, I feel like there was multiple different conversations going on throughout the vehicle. Like, I feel like someone was having a conversation with the front passenger, someone was having a conversation with the driver, somebody was having a conversation with the people in the back seats. So I'm not really too sure what was said, but it was, the overall tone of it was totally like chill and like normal. And then there were parts of it that were aggressive, and
And why did it get aggressive?
because they had jumped me.
Did you say anything to anybody when you were there?
No, not that I recall.
Do you recall if the defendant said anything to anybody? You said that it got aggressive?
Yeah.
What happened when it was getting aggressive?
Cans started getting thrown at the car, and then the car started whipping up and down the road.
Now, when you say cans got thrown at the car, who threw cans?
Multiple different people.
Did you throw any cans?
Yes, I did.
And what kind of cans did you throw?
I threw my Bud Lights that I had still.
Were they empty cans or were they full
They were
cans?
full cans.
Okay. Do you recall where you threw the can?
I believe I was on the other side of the car at this point, so on the passenger side now. And I believe I hit the door, the passenger side door, and then the other can I threw completely missed the car because I believe the car was moving at the time.
So you see this defect in the windshield here?
Yeah.
Did you recall doing that yourself?
I did not do that, no.
So if that was done, that was done by somebody else?
Yes.
If it was done that night?
Yeah.
After the beer cans were being thrown, other things were being thrown at the car, did anybody else put their hands on the car? Was there anybody else doing anything else to the car?
Not that I recall, no.
And you said the car at some point left?
Yeah.
And where did it go?
Just up and down the road.
When you say up and down the road, if you're looking at State's Exhibit 1,
It was just going back and forth this way.
and when it was going back and forth, what, if anything, was the car doing?
Going really fast.
Were they throwing anything from the car? You don't remember any of that? Where were you when the car was going up and down the road?
In the driveway.
And were you paying attention to it the whole time, or were you talking to other people?
Mix. Like I would pay attention to it, and then I'd talk to the person next to me, something like that.
Now, when you were initially at the car, do you recall who was with you out of all your friends?
No, I wasn't worried about any of that.
Why can't you recall who was with you at the time?
I wasn't looking for who was with me. I just knew it was my friends, people that I knew weren't going to do anything to me.
Do you know if Tyler Rich was there?
No.
Do you know if Griffin Marcinzik was there? Do you know if Ricky Fiola was there? Now, when the car went up and down the road and you were in the driveway, you said you were just talking to your friends, kind of paying attention. Were you kind of looking down the road?
Yeah.
What were you doing? You said you were talking to your friends. What friends were you talking to? You remember? Why can't you remember?
Just normal conversation. Just can't remember.
Can't remember the particular person you were talking to. At some point in time, did the car stop driving up and down the road?
Yes.
And where did you see it stop?
Like right at the corner of Farmhouse and Laurel.
And when it stopped at that corner, what, if anything, do you remember happening next?
I can remember Tyler Rich running down there after the car. And I actually I didn't go fully down there, but I also kind of like walked about halfway down the road towards it.
Can you show me State's Exhibit 49 where you walked?
To about like where all the trees are. I just remember the trees on my side,
The trees here,
the other side of the road.
these trees?
Yeah.
So just past Tyler Rich's property on the left-hand side where there's, looks like pine trees?
Yeah.
And you stopped right around here?
Yep.
And when you were there, how far away were you from where the car was?
Several feet away from the car.
Like hundreds of feet, maybe 100 feet, a couple hundred
I
feet?
don't know.
Were you close enough to see anything going on down there?
Not really. I was just able to like make out like people and that there were people down there.
And what did you see?
Just like people talking, it looked like, really.
So people were outside the car or inside the car?
Both.
And when people were down there talking, do you recall if any of your friends were down there at the same time?
Yeah, I know Tyler Rich was down there.
Did you know if anybody else went down there? Did more than just Tyler Rich go down there though?
Yes.
And do you recall whether or not outside of talking, did you see anybody get into any physical altercation or fight down there? Did you see anybody throw anything down? How long would you say that you were watching what was going on down the road at that point in time?
I think I watched for like 3 seconds and I just stopped caring and I walked back to the house.
You walked back to the house. Did you go back inside the house?
Yeah.
When you got back inside Tyler Rich's house, what did you do when you got back inside the basement?
I just like kind of stood there for a minute or two. Everybody seemed to be in there. And then all of a sudden I just hear, they're back. They're back. They're in the yard.
Now, before you heard they're back, what kind of things were you guys doing? Were people still drinking, having a good time, hanging out?
Not really anymore. Everybody's kind of just like, this night's over. Nothing good about it.
What time of day was it? Was it late?
I don't know. Like
If you
10,
can't recall, you
11,
can't recall.
back.
It wasn't light out though, right?
No.
And was it, when you were outside, was it dark enough that you couldn't see in front of you?
No, it was a nice night. Like it wasn't dark. Like it wasn't pitch black outside. Like you could see the person in front of you. You could see like somebody 10 feet away from you. You
And-
could make them out.
Were there any other lights around the area? If there were any lights?
There was like a sensor light from the house, but that's really all I.
And you said at some point in time, you heard somebody say they're back.
Yeah.
When you heard somebody say they're back, what did that mean to you?
I don't really know what it meant to me. I just instantly was like, I want to go see what it is.
So you were curious?
Yes.
Because you wanted to go see what it was, what did you do as a result?
I immediately went right back out the cellar door and walked into the yard.
And when you walked into the yard, showing you State's Exhibit 5, where did you go? Do you recall where you went? Can you show me in State's Exhibit 5?
I'm somewhere behind like this red bush.
Okay, so you're somewhere over here?
Yeah.
So I'm pointing to the left side, just behind the red bush.
Good, can reflect. Thank you.
And when you come outside and you're near this bush here, what do you see when you come outside?
I see the defendant and then I see the Silva.
And can you tell us on State's Exhibit 5 where you saw them?
About the same area. The Silva was like, if I'm looking at them, the Silva was behind the defendant to his right a little bit, maybe 3 or 4 feet.
So if you're looking this way,
Yeah.
the Silva's over here.
Yeah.
And the defendant is where?
Right in front of me.
And tell us about your Did you have an interaction with these two?
Yes.
Just tell us about that.
So when I walk outside, the defendant had just like put his shirt up over his head. And like, I can't do it right now, but he like put his shirt over his head and was just like quietly, very calmly saying, "Where's Aidan King? Where's Aidan King? I want to see Aidan King." And just kept repeating that over and over again.
Did you ask him why he wanted to see Aidan King?
I wasn't really worried about it. I didn't care.
And what was your reaction when he was asking about where Aidan King was?
I just was like, "Don't worry about it. I'm right here. What's your problem? Like, why are you back here?"
Yeah. And what was his response?
"Where's Aidan King?" And then I caught like, I was like, "Why do you have your shirt on your head like that?" I was saying that. And then I pulled the shirt off of his head, not like hard or anything like that, but I just grabbed it, I pulled it off of his head. And then all of a sudden like that, it was just a totally different person. And it like just got crazy.
What do you mean?
Like the defendant was really calm and just quiet and was just like, "Where's Aidan King? Where's Aidan King? Where's Aidan King?" And like I said, I don't know. I don't care. Like, I'm right here. What's the problem here? Pulling the shirt off of his head. And then the second I pulled the shirt off of his head, just starts freaking out, like get very upset and argumentative and forgot about Aidan King and did worry only about me and the people next to me.
And when you say argumentative, what was he doing?
Just like getting real fast and just like you took my shirt off my head. Like there's going to be a problem now, blah, blah, blah. Like just all types of stuff like that.
Do you recall when you were talking to the defendant in the yard, do you recall who was near you at the time?
Oh yeah, Nikki DeJesus and Tywood right next to me.
And do you recall, if you can, was there anybody near Tyler De Silva?
No, I wasn't worried or paying attention to Tyler De Silva at that point in time.
And when the defendant started to react the way he did and get crazy,
Yeah.
What if anything happened next?
Me, Nikki, and Ty immediately were just like, we're from me to the microphone at this point now, away from him, just looking him right in the eyes, and we're just chirping each other back and forth.
And when you say chirping each other, what does that mean?
Talking shit.
Okay. And how long did that last for?
30 seconds, 45 seconds.
At any point during your chirping back and forth, did you ever tell the defendant to leave?
No.
So after about 30 or 40 seconds, what happens next?
Out of nowhere, really, Tyler Rich punched him in the face.
Do you know why he punched him in the face?
He was on his property. I'm not really sure other than that, though.
But how did you see Tyler Rich punch him in the face?
I just saw like his fist and just hit him in the face.
Come over. Where was Tyler?
I don't know where Tyler was. I just like literally like I was looking the defendant right in his eyes, like right in his face. Like that's all I was looking at. I was locked in on that, and Tyler Rich's fist just punches him.
How do you know it was Tyler's?
I figured that out after the fact.
So you didn't know it at the time?
No, at the time.
But it was one of your friends that punched the defendant in the face?
Yes.
And when that happened, what happened after that?
I kind of, it's like weird from there. Like I just kind of go at the defendant and I punch him in the face like 2 times.
And when you did that, did the defendant engage you?
Yes, he did.
Can you tell us a little bit about how
So
he
like he was stumped, like he's like when he got punched in the face, he stumbled back and just kind of fell. And then that's where like I kind of like got over him and I punched him in the face. And then all of a sudden I just feel like a weird sharp pain in my side. And I just kind of went like this and I went like this and I looked down to this and I see him with his fist clenched up like this and kind of like his shoulder and like bicep area right here were like held back by something, but he was going like this. And I'm like, you can say I was like on top of him at this point, but he's going like this. And I just see like a jabbing motion towards my side. And that's where I felt like the stick right prior. And then all of a sudden I'm just like, I gotta get away. Like I gotta get out of here. And I get off and I just walk away.
And how many times would you say the defendant hit you?
Oh,
Do you recall?
I mean, I got stabbed 3 times, but I don't know. He was just going and going. Like it was not like he wasn't trying to hit me in a certain spot. It was just like jabbing over and over and over, just trying to poke me basically.
And once that happened, you said you had to walk away?
Yeah. I just like, I don't know, like some instinct in me was just like, get up, get off, like get out of there.
And when that happened, how did you feel?
I was just like dazed and it's like really like blurry and just like, I don't know. It's just, it's honestly that entire part of the night, like is the like least like there I am, I would say.
Okay. And at some point in time, what are you doing in the yard after this happens?
I realized that De Silva is in a fight with his own like group of people, and I kind of just stood there and watched.
And do you recall whether or not you engaged in that fight at all? Now, how long would you say that whole fight took place? And when the fight was going on, what kinds of things do you recall seeing about kind of watching the De Silva fight?
What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, you kind of just stood there, you said, and watched, right? What were you watching? What were you seeing?
People throwing punches, I guess, and that's really all I can recall about it.
When you were engaged with the defendant, do you know whether or not there was more than one person engaged with him?
No.
It was just you and him? And at some point in time, when you stop, when you back off from the defendant, do you see where he goes?
No.
Now, when you recall, if you can recall the De Silva fight, do you recall how many people were engaged with De Silva?
3, 4 people.
3, 4. After the fight ends, at some point, do you realize that you're injured?
So, like, kind of as De Silva's getting like pushed out, my buddy Ty Wood was right next to me again, and he's like, "Dude, are you okay?" And he's seen my clothes and like pointed it out, and I had already started to bleed through my sweatshirt and my shorts, and that's also when I heard my lung collapse in my chest, and I don't know how to describe it, but like it was like bubbles coming from out of my chest, and I just immediately got super like scared, and I didn't know what was going on.
And when you say you were bleeding, so did you say anything how did you realize that you had been injured?
I just kind of lifted up my shirt and looked, and I was like, holy shit, like I was stabbed.
And when you realized you were stabbed at that moment, did you hear anybody scream anything?
No.
Did you see anything else at that point? What was going on?
I kind of just went into like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like I thought I was going to die. Like I heard the bubbles come from out of my chest, and I just immediately thought the worst. And I walked myself back in through the cellar doors into the basement and sat down and was like, I want water.
Okay. Now, when you were fighting with the defendant, did you have a weapon on you?
No.
Do you recall if Ty Wood had a weapon on him that night?
No.
Do you recall if Nikki DeJesus had a weapon on him that night?
No, none of my friends carry weapons.
I'll show you State's Exhibit 60.
Yes.
Okay. Now, this individual right here on the left, do you know who that is?
That's me.
That's you?
Yeah.
Do you recall at this moment in time, first of all, have you seen this video before?
Yes.
And do you recall, based on your recollection of when you were engaging with the defendant, is this video before or after you were already stabbed?
This is after I was stabbed.
So how is it that you're standing there watching Tyler De Silva, and how is it that you don't know you're stabbed?
I just didn't know. Like I just had so much adrenaline going through me. I was like, this is the point in time where I just something told me in my head, get up, get away from this. That's where I am now. Like that's where I kind of got up, and I kind of just walked and was like, all right. And that's when I realized like there was a whole nother fight going on. I didn't even know really there was another fight going on. I really thought it was just me and the defendant.
And at some point in time, so at some point in time, you recall hearing, he's got a knife.
Yeah.
Okay. At some point in time, what point in time do you realize that you're stabbed, and then you indicated you went down, you talked to Ty Wood, and then you go into the basement? At what point, I guess in that timeline is my question.
Like the same exact time.
So you hear, he's got a knife.
Wood's pointing out to me that I got stabbed.
And then you're lifting up your shirt. Now, I'll show you State's Exhibit 61. Can you see that?
Yeah.
This individual here on the left with the phone out.
Yeah.
Do you know who that is?
That's Ricky Fiola.
And at this point in the video, you're already stabbed.
Yes.
So is there a portion of this video that does not capture the beginning of the fight?
Yes, there is.
So had this video started earlier, we would have seen the entire fight.
Yeah.
State 63. Again, this is
Me.
Do you know who this is here?
Oh, that's Sal.
Sal Perry.
Yes.
This individual here with no shirt on, you know?
Alex.
Alex Simpson. How about this kid here with the red hat?
Michael Samperi.
And this is,
De Silva.
and do you recall being here in this moment in the video?
That's like the only like point of view like I remember of like watching De Silva. Like this is like what I remembered from
Okay.
that. Yeah.
And it's a few seconds after this that you realize the fight was over.
That's like when everybody started figuring out they were stabbed. Like I want to say like Faison might have been the first one that realized he was stabbed, and he was like, holy shit, like I was stabbed. And then everybody is just like, whoa, like what's going on?
When you realized that you were injured, did you notice aside from Faison, did you notice if anybody else was?
No.
you kind of just lifted your shirt up, went right into the basement,
Pretty much.
sat down, said, I need a glass of water. Did anybody else follow you into the basement?
Some people did, but I just don't. I don't remember who it was. Some people did follow me into the basement, and somebody did grab me a glass of water, and then they helped me out back outside because they were like, the ambulances are coming. They're about to be here. You got to come back outside. But I don't remember who it was.
Why don't you remember?
There was just so much going through my head at that point in time. Like I truthfully thought I was gonna die, and like it was so hard for me to breathe. I didn't know I had a collapsed lung. I heard those bubbles happen in my chest, and I was just thinking the worst. And I truthfully thought like I was gonna die in that front yard or basement that night.
Did you know what was going on at that moment?
No, not really. I was just kind of in my own world, just like, don't die, one breath at a time. Like that's literally what I got down to. I by the time I was brought back into the yard and my lung was so like collapsed and stuff, like,
Could you breathe?
like barely. I was like that. I barely was able to breathe, and I was just like one breath at a time. I literally took it down to seconds. Like I was thinking so small. I was just like, just one step at a time, and I'll make it. I'll be okay, and all that stuff. But yeah, I was just so in my own world, just thinking about life and my life to that point in time. I truthfully thought I was going to die.
Ryan, I think yesterday when we left off, we were talking about the fight. Just prior to the fight starting, was the group chat still going on?
I can't. I don't know.
Do you know whether or not you had indicated your phone was buzzing in your pocket?
Yeah.
Do you recall whether or not you said anything in the group chat?
I think I mentioned one time just calling them pussies, but that's it. That's all I said. I only said one thing.
Okay. And when you came out into the yard to confront the defendant and Mr. De Silva, were you closer to Mr. De Silva or the
defendant?
And at any point in time during the night, do you recall fighting anybody other than the defendant?
No.
With regards to the video,
Yeah.
When did the fight happen? Was it?
That video is probably 20 seconds into the fight.
Tell us again how you fought with the defendant.
I kind of was just over top of the defendant. I punched him in the face 2 times, and then I just felt a jab in my side, and I looked down and I see the defendant with his right hand clenched up in a ball like this, and he's just poking at my side.
Did you see any weapon on him?
No, I didn't see a weapon or anything. I just seen his fist and just going like this repeatedly over and over again, and just right there on my side.
After that happened, what did you do?
I just, like, some instinct in me just was like, get off, get away, like just like that. I don't know how to explain it.
And at some point in time, did you lose sight of the defendant?
Yes.
Did you see where he went?
No.
Did you see him after the fight ended?
No.
At some point in time, do you recall watching the fight with Mr. De Silva?
Yes.
And when you were watching that fight with Mr. De Silva, when did it become apparent to you that you were injured?
Like when I heard somebody scream out, he's got a knife, he's got a knife.
So when you heard that, what triggered in your head?
I was just like, he's like, I just heard that, and I was like, he's got a knife. Like, who's hurt? Like, is everybody okay? I didn't even realize I was hurt or anything. And then my buddy Ty Wood came up to me and was like, are you okay? Like, you're bleeding. And he pointed down at my side, and I had bled through all my clothing.
And when you realized that you were bleeding, what did you do?
I like lifted up my shirt, and I wanted to see like what was wrong with me. I didn't know what had happened. I didn't know how many times I had been stabbed or anything like that. And like right at the same time I'm realizing I had gotten stabbed, I hear all the bubbles and like my lung collapsing basically. And like bubbles in my chest. It was a really weird sound. I don't know how to describe it. I never want to hear that sound ever again. It kind of like, it like haunts me in a way, but I just got super scared, and I didn't know what was going to happen.
Were you able to breathe?
Barely.
And when you realized that you were injured, what did you do next?
I went inside, and I just wanted to sit down and get a glass of water. That's all I could think of was sit down, get a glass of water.
And did somebody bring you a glass of water?
Yes.
And do you recall who that was? Why don't you recall it?
I just was in such like a fog of like mentally, all I could think of was just like one breath at a time, pretty much.
At some point in time, did somebody come in the house to get you and bring you outside? Do you recall who that was?
No.
And at some point in time, did you exit the house?
Yeah.
Why did you exit the house?
Because the ambulances were arriving.
And when the ambulances arrived, did somebody render aid to you?
Yeah.
Okay. And what did they do for you when you were on scene?
They just were asking me my injuries and what was wrong, and I just had to explain to the best I could what I felt.
And were you taken to the hospital?
Yes.
I'm going to show you, we started doing this yesterday, so State's Exhibit 61. Remember seeing this picture yesterday?
Yeah.
This individual here on the left, you know who that is?
Yeah.
Who is that?
Ricky Fiola.
You got the white shirt and the pink shorts on the left side of 61 there. Exhibit 62, do you know who this individual is?
The defendant.
Exhibit 63, I'm going to point this kid here to the left. He appears to be a green sweatshirt, black shorts with white trim. Who's that?
That's me.
This kid here with the white shirt and the black shorts next to you. Who's
Sal Perry.
kid next to him with jeans on with the no shirt on? Do you know who that is?
Alex.
Alex Bernstein?
Yeah.
This guy here with the jeans on, the black shirt and the red hat, do you know who that is?
Yeah, Michael Samperi.
And this guy here on his knees with what appears to be a shirt pulled up with jeans on, do you know who that is?
Yeah, Jack Silva.
Who's that?
Tyler De Silva, I mean.
64, guy right here to the right with the white shirt, black shorts on, do you know who that is?
That's Charlie.
Charlie who? Again, 65, Charlie Connery?
Yeah.
66, this guy right here with the white shirt, appears to be tan shorts next to you.
Yeah.
Do you know who that is?
That's Jake Bills, right?
This guy right here with the shirt off, with the camouflage pants on, with the shirt hanging out the back, do you know who that is?
Yeah, that's Matt Lockovich.
And this individual right here with the navy blue shirt, white pants, you know who that is?
That's Jimmy McGrath.
67, this individual who appears to be pushing somebody for the picture, do you know who that is?
Bill Lobos.
And this individual here, navy blue shirt, white pants.
Jimmy McGrath.
Exhibit 68, this individual with the jeans, appears to be a shirt still pulled up, but they're back to us. Do you know who that is?
Tyler De Silva.
And this individual to his left, do you know who that is?
That's the defendant.
Finally, State 69, this individual appears to be near the curve in the street with the light blue jersey on. Do you know who that is?
That's De Silva.
And this person here with the navy blue shirt on and white pants,
That's Jimmy.
Jimmy McGrath.
Yep.
At some point in time when paramedics came and rendered aid to you, do you recall whether or not you took your shirt off at the scene?
I think I did take my shirt off. I think I was using it to like cover up my stab wound.
Show you State's Exhibits 25 full exhibit. These items that you were wearing the night of May 14th of 2022
Yes.
appears to be a black shirt. Does that appear to be inside out?
Yeah.
State's Exhibit 26, is that the same shirt but right side in? And obviously the green sweatshirt, is that yours?
Yeah. I don't know whose shoes those are.
Those are not your shoes.
Those are not my shoes.
Exhibit 27, a picture of the shirt that you were wearing that night. I may approach the witness, Your Honor. Ryan, you see this defect in the shirt here?
Yeah.
Is that about where your upper stab wound was?
Yes.
And is this the front of the t-shirt?
Yes.
And you see this defect here?
Yes, I do.
Is that the right about where you received your first stab wound?
Yes.
Your upper chest?
Yep.
Exhibit 28, a version of the t-shirt. Again, is this the defect in the shirt? Is this where one of the stab wounds was?
Yes.
Exhibit 29, is this your sweatshirt with the defect in it from the...
Yes, it is.
Certainly, of
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
course. Thank you.
Ryan, I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 83 for identification purposes. Do you recognize 83?
Yep.
And what is 83?
In the hospital.
And is that a fair and accurate depiction of what you look like in the hospital the day after?
Yes.
Showing you it's marked as State's Exhibit 84 for identification. Do you recognize State's 84? And what is State's 84?
Me with a wound to my head.
And does this accurately reflect the wound to your head on May 15th of 2022?
This does.
Start showing you State's 85. You recognize State's 85?
Yes.
And what is State's 85?
The tube that had to be put in my chest.
And does this accurately reflect what the tube looked like in your chest on May 15th of 2022?
Yes.
Showing you State's 86. Do you recognize 86?
Yes.
What is State's 86?
Tube that was coming out of my chest, and then that's where I got stabbed.
And does this picture accurately reflect the upper wound area but covered on May 15th of 2022?
Yeah.
Showing you State's 87. For identification purposes, do you recognize 87?
Yes.
And what is State's 87?
My stab wound to my chest.
And does this picture accurately reflect what the wound looked like maybe a day or two after the incident, uncovered by any cause?
Yes.
Showing you State's 88 for identification purposes, do you recognize state?
Yes, I do.
And what is state?
They are my stab wounds that I got to my lower hip.
And does this accurately reflect what they look like covered in the hospital day after the incident?
Yes, it does.
Showing you State's 89 for identification purposes, do you recognize State's 89?
Yes, I do.
And what is State's 89?
My stab wound to my side.
And does this picture accurately reflect what your wound looked like a few days after the incident?
Yes.
Showing you it's 90 for identification purposes, do you recognize State's 90?
Yes.
What is State's 90?
The other side of my leg.
And does this picture accurately reflect what the area looked like covered, intended to in the hospital the day after the incident?
Yes, it does.
Showing you State's 91 for identification purposes, do you recognize State's 81?
Yes, I do.
And what is State's 81?
My stab to my lower leg.
Like day or two after the incident, it's uncovered.
Yep.
And finally, it's showing your state's 92 for identification purposes. Do you recognize 92?
Yes, I do.
And what is 92?
That's about me 2 weeks after.
And does this accurately reflect what your wounds look like a week or two after? Now, is this picture taken reflecting in the mirror?
No.
Right.
Yeah.
Left side.
Yeah.
Right. So is this taken in a mirror?
Yes.
Does this accurately reflect what you look like when you were taking this picture of your wounds in a mirror?
Yeah.
I would offer these as full exhibits at this time. No. Brian, I want to show you states 83 that's now been marked as a full exhibit. Again, what is states 83?
Me in the hospital.
Now, these injuries to you went up. It looks like you have injuries to your nose, your face area, and your head. Were those injuries caused during the fight at 43 Laurel Glen?
No, those were at Lazy Brook.
So when you got into the initial fight at Lazy Brook, defendant and his friends, that's when that happened?
Yeah.
States 84. This injury here to the top of your head, which looks like the left side of your head. Do you know when that injury happened?
That's from Lazy Brook as well.
That's also from Lazy Brook. States 85. Can you tell us where States 85 was from?
That's the tube that had to be put in my chest
Do you know why the tube had to be put in your chest at the hospital?
to reinflate my lung.
States 86. What are we looking at in States 86?
So the gauze is where I was stabbed, and then that is part of the tube that was coming out of my chest.
And this obviously, this is the left side of your chest.
Yes.
That is where you got your injuries.
Yeah, on my left side.
States 87. Can you tell us what States 87 is?
That would be my stab wound to my upper chest.
And this is the stab wound that caused the collapsed lung.
Yes, it is.
States 88. Can you tell us what we're looking at in States 88?
That is my stab wound to my hip.
Around here.
Yeah.
Right. And this is the tube.
Yeah, that's the same tube.
States 89. Is this the same wound but uncovered?
Yes.
This is what, a few days after?
Yeah.
States 90. What are we looking at here? This is what?
That would be my stab wound to like my lower butt cheek, pretty much.
So like the hip area?
Yeah.
And again, this tube that's running down, is that, where is that?
That's the same tube that was in my chest.
91. Is this the same wound you just mentioned but uncovered?
Yes, it is.
Showing you states 92. So it appears to be the right side of your body, but are these injuries on the right side of your body?
No, they're on my left side.
So is this picture being taken in a mirror?
Yes.
So this would be your upper left chest area where the first stab wound was.
Mhm.
Second stab wound to your lower abdomen area.
Yep.
And then your third stab wound would be on your left side of your hip.
Yes.
And when were these pictures taken? Do you know?
A couple weeks after.
Now, after you were at the hospital, well, how long did you stay in the hospital for? You remember?
I was there for 2 nights and 3 days.
And do you recall what you were diagnosed with?
A collapsed lung. I believe I had a fracture in my nose and some head trauma. And I don't remember.
And what was the treatment that, aside from getting to the hospital and initially getting diagnosed, what treatment did you have to go through?
Well, I couldn't get stitches because they didn't want my wounds to get infected. So it was really cleaning them out multiple times a day, keeping fresh gauze on them at all times, and just a lot of rest.
And what has your recovery been like?
Physically, they healed up, but mentally, I've never been the same person.
Was that?
I can't stop thinking about that. Like every single day, multiple times a day, I just think about that night and things that I could have done different, things that anybody could have done different. And I just didn't think things like this happen in the world. I don't know. I didn't know there was people like that out there that really wanted to cause harm.
When you were at Laurel Glen that night and those individuals walked on the front lawn and the fight started, did you anticipate the fight being a fist fight?
Yes.
Did you anticipate there ever being any weapons used?
No.
Did you have any weapons at Lazy Brook that night with
No.
you? Did you have any weapons with you at Laurel Glen that night?
No.
Did Ty Wood have any weapons on him?
No.
Did anybody near you, did you recall anybody near you when you were face to face with the defendant having any weapons?
No.
No further questions.
Thank you. Morning, Mr. Heinz.
We go.
We have never met before, never talked about this case before. Let me go over with you some of your testimony that you've given here. You told us yesterday you thought you'd met with the state's attorney 3 or 4 times prior to this.
Yep.
To discuss your testimony here.
Yes.
You recall that? And when you're answering, you just have to say either yes or no. The court reporter can't get it on the record, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, so let's review that evening. You told us that Griffin Marcinzik was a really good friend of yours since childhood, basically, right?
No, I moved to Shelton in the winter when I was in 8th grade. So right about when COVID started, I moved to Shelton, but Griffin was one of the first kids I met and I became very good friends with.
Okay, so good friends since you moved to Shelton.
Yes.
You say that was in the 8th grade. And at this time, May 14th, 14th, 2022, you told us that you were ending your sophomore year, so you would have been a rising junior.
Yes.
And you went over to a friend's house. Was that Natalia Ritz?
Yes.
And you hung out there at Natalia's, right? You told us that you were doing some drinking there while you were hanging out.
Yes.
And that was, you had no more than 2 beers, right?
No more than 2 beers.
How do you know no more than 2?
Because I know it was no more than 2 beers.
What makes you so certain about that? No more than 2.
Because it was only 2 beers.
And that was only in 30 to 40 minutes of being there that you had those 2 beers?
Yes.
Power drinking that night?
I'm sorry?
Was that power drinking? Was that a fairly regular speed to have 2 beers in a 30 to 40 minute period?
That's pretty normal.
And then you told us that you got invited over to Austin Leifer's house, right?
Yes.
How did you know Austin?
I met him in 8th grade when I moved to Shelton.
Also when you moved to Shelton.
Yes.
Did Austin go to Shelton High School?
No, he didn't.
Was Austin on the basketball group text chat?
I don't recall.
And Tanner Chernowski drove you to Austin's house, right?
Yes.
How did Tanner Chernowski know to take you to Austin Leifer's house?
Me and Griffin asked him.
And who is Tanner Chernowski to you?
Another guy that I met when I first moved to Shelton and became a really good friend of mine. He happens to live not too far from me. Hang out.
Did you play football with Tanner?
No.
You played football with Griffin?
Yes.
Did you play any sports with Tanner?
No.
He was a couple years older than you.
Yes.
Did Tanner Chernowski provide you with any of those beers that evening?
No.
And you said that he drove you over to 5 Lazy Brook, and that was somewhere between 7 or 8 o'clock, right?
Yes.
And that you got there to the house while it was still daylight, but by the time you left, you would agree it was no longer daylight, right?
It was like the evening time. Yes.
Because we've seen the video of the fight outside of 5 Lazy Brook, and it appears to be pretty dark then. Are you saying that at that point there was still some daylight?
Yes, there was still some daylight.
And when you showed up, you heard music and noise, and you thought that was a party, so you walked into the garage, right?
Yes.
And at that point, you still only had the 2 beers?
Yes.
But you didn't make it into the house. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
You just got into the garage?
Yeah.
And how many people were in the garage when you got in there?
I don't think anybody was in there.
Nobody in the garage?
No.
So as you're going from the garage to the door into the interior of the house, you see some people coming out of the house, right?
Yes.
And in fact, you came to learn that the party was being shut down or something of that nature, right?
Not really that. I just found out after the fact that the people that were coming out that I saw were happening to be getting kicked out at the time.
Okay. This wasn't your party, right?
No.
And so you saw some people coming out of the house, but you don't know why they were coming out of the house?
No.
In fact, some people thought you hadn't been invited to the party, right?
I'm not sure.
Well, you were confronted by some folks who said they didn't know what you were doing there, right?
Yeah, but the homeowner invited me and Griffin.
Well, not the homeowner, right? Austin doesn't own
Homeowner's
the
son.
home, does he, right? And in fact, Madigan was having the party, right?
I'm not sure.
Well, did you see a number of girls there that evening?
Yes.
You caught a ride with some of those girls at the end of the evening?
Yeah.
Did you know that they were all members of the lacrosse team from that school?
No.
And you never saw Austin that night, right?
No.
Because he was outside throwing up and ill from drinking, right?
Jack,
what I
how
heard.
would you know?
Sustained. So hold on a minute, Attorney Smith. Ladies and gentlemen, the jury court's going to strike the the witness's response to that particular question. And I'm going to ask you to not consider the question, and you'll learn that questions are not evidence, okay? So the stricken response, not evidence, not to be considered. You'll hear more about stricken evidence at the end of the evidence. And the question obviously is not to be considered evidence either. Thank you.
You didn't see Austin that night, right?
No.
And these 3 folks that come out the door, you say that they confronted you about coming there, prevented you from going inside, right?
Yes.
And ultimately, you claim that they didn't care about that, right?
What do you mean?
Well, you said they didn't care that you told them that you had been invited.
Yes.
And Mr. Valley, you told us, didn't say anything to you, right?
No, he was speaking to Griffin.
It was Mr. Snyder who was having this interaction with you, right?
Yes.
And you saw him on that photo and identified him as wearing that red hoodie that evening, correct? And in fact, you say that Mr. Snyder asked you for a beer and you told him, yeah, sure, right? You gave him a beer.
Yes.
And you said that Mr. Valley asked you if he could have a beer and you said, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And you gave him a beer, right?
Just trying to be a peacemaker.
You gave both of them a beer that night, correct?
Yes.
Griffin Marcinzik was right there when that happened.
Yes.
Were you blocking his view so that he couldn't see you give the beers to these 2 people?
Griffin?
Yes.
I'm not sure.
Do you recall where Griffin was?
I believe he was right next to me.
And that wasn't enough for Mr. Snyder, right? He
No.
decided he was going to grab those beers from you.
Yes.
Mr. Valley didn't grab the beers from you.
No.
Mr. De Silva, did you see him?
Yes.
He didn't say anything to you.
No.
He didn't grab the beers from you.
No.
Ultimately, Snyder grabs the beers from you. You said you were trying to be cool and make some friends.
Yes.
And at that point, you got upset with Snyder, right?
Yes.
He said you weren't going to stand for this, right?
Yes.
You were upset at that. Right?
I was. I wasn't going to get pushed out and bullied.
You said, I'll fight you right now for this beer, right?
Yes, I did.
and you put your hands up to fight,
Yes.
and y'all make it out into the driveway from the garage, right? And we saw the video there.
Yes.
And in that video, we see you and Mr. Snyder squared up, right?
Yes.
And you're circling a little bit for position, right? It's a fight going on.
Yeah.
You're not just standing there toe to toe like we see some old school bare knuckles boxers, right? You're moving around. You're circling.
A little bit. Yes.
You bump into Mr. Valley?
No.
No, you
No.
don't bump into Mr.
No,
Valley.
I do not bump Mr. Valley.
Where was Mr. Valley?
He was hiding behind me.
Hiding behind you?
You could say that. Yes.
Hiding behind what?
Me. Just he was behind me. I
He
didn't know
was
he
just
was there.
behind you,
Yeah,
right? He
he was-
wasn't hiding.
Sure.
You were aware he was there.
No.
You knew there was a circle of people around you watching, correct?
Yes.
And you were circling for position.
No.
No. You were just going to stand still and let Mr. Snyder come towards you.
I wouldn't really say it was circling, but it was more of just like a little like get a better position. You could say that. Yeah.
Right. You're not just going to stand still and let somebody who you've just challenged to a fight just come at you and start throwing blows, right?
Well, in all honesty, that was my first fight ever that night. I never had been in a fight before that. So I very well could have been standing right there. I don't have a fighting background.
Okay. But you saw the video.
Yes.
You'd agree you were moving,
A little bit. Yes.
right? You weren't just standing there. And you told us that Mr. Valley comes out and he sucker punches you, right?
Yes.
He didn't tackle you.
No.
He didn't throw any more blows than that, correct?
Not that I'm aware of. No.
In fact, he moves away from you and gives more space after this interaction, right?
What interaction?
The interaction where you say he sucker punched you.
Yeah.
At that point, you come forward and you tackle Mr. Snyder, right?
Yes.
Get him down on the ground, right? You go off the screen, right? We can't see the rest of that as you guys are sort of behind a minivan. And at that point, people come in and they're trying to break it up, right?
No, not really.
No?
No.
Well, did you see Emily Robinson in that video coming in?
I don't know who that is.
Okay. Did you see any of the girls that were there coming in?
No.
Did you hear any of them?
No.
Fair to say your attention was focused on Mr. Snyder?
Yes.
And Mr. Valley, he had this helmet on, correct?
Yes.
And he had that helmet on the whole time, right?
No.
No. You believe he took that helmet off?
He did take that helmet off.
You believe he took that helmet off?
I see it in the video. Yes.
In the video, you see him take the helmet off?
Yes.
And what does he do with it?
He smashes me in the back of the head with it.
And then what does he do with it?
Hits me again in the back of the head with it.
And then what does he do with it?
Not sure.
Does he put it back on?
I don't know.
So it's your testimony, sir, that he takes the helmet off of his head,
Mhm.
swings it at you, and hits you with it twice.
Yes.
And then you're not sure if he puts it back on or not.
No, the video is over.
And ultimately, somebody pulls you by the neck up off the ground, you said?
Yes.
So you would agree somebody was trying to break this thing up.
Yes.
Do you know who it was that pulled you off? And at that point, you said, Mama Lifer gave you your beer back,
Yes.
and you guys took off, right?
Yep.
You and Griffin went down to the end of the driveway, and you got a ride from the girls that we saw in the photograph later,
Yes.
right? And it appeared that a number of the folks in there, including yourself, were holding blue cans of Bud Light. Do you
Yes.
recall that?
Yes.
Would you agree that you were holding a blue can of Bud Light?
I believe I had the box in my hand.
Okay. A number of the girls were holding what appeared to be blue cans of Bud Light, correct?
Yeah.
So y'all were drinking in the car on the way back to where you went, which was back to Ms. Ritzik's house.
I don't recall if I was.
There was drinking going on in the car.
I'm sure.
You
Yes.
can see that at least.
I don't know.
Well, you gave them those Bud Lights, right?
I don't recall.
In any event, you got back to Natalia's house.
Yes.
They dropped you off there.
Yes.
You do recall that?
Them dropping us off there?
Yes.
Yes.
And you were there for about 10 minutes before you got picked up by Charlie Connery, right?
Yes.
How did Charlie Connery know to come and pick you up from Natalia Ritzik's
I
house?
don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know.
Well, you told us that about a week earlier you'd been added to the basketball group chat, right?
Yes.
And that basketball group chat, that included Griffin Marcenzic, right?
Yes.
Did that include Tanner Chernowski?
I don't know.
Did it include Sal Perry?
I don't know.
Michael Samperi?
I don't know.
Did it include Alex Bernston?
I don't know.
Did it include Tanner Chernowski?
I don't know.
You don't know anybody that was included on this group chat that you got added to.
I didn't know anybody in that group chat other than a few of my Shelton friends.
Oh, okay. Well, which of your Shelton friends did you know in that group
Just
chat?
ones that weren't involved in anything.
Like who?
Like Michael Kinnick, for example.
That's the only one of your friends that you knew that was in that?
Yeah.
How many people were on that group chat?
I don't know.
10?
I don't know.
15?
Don't know.
20?
That's the answer. He doesn't
Don't
know.
know.
Sustained.
You have no idea how many people were on that basketball group chat.
No.
That you told us was about a lot of shit talking, right?
Yeah.
But you don't know anybody that was on it.
No.
Sustained.
And somehow Charlie Connery knew to come pick you up at Natalia Ritzik's and take you over to Tyler Rich's house, right?
Yep.
Had you had plans that night to go to Tyler Rich's house already?
No.
And along the way, you told Charlie Connery about what had happened at 5 Lazy Brook, right?
You already had known.
How did he already know?
I don't
Objection.
know.
How would he know? Speculation.
Sustained. Again. All right. So, Mr. Heinz, I'm going to ask you to just pause in between the questions so counsel can go forward with his objection. So once he objects, please refrain from providing an answer. Okay, thank you so much.
Sorry.
And again, direction to the jury, the last response should be stricken from evidence. Thank you.
You say he already knew when he came to pick you up about the fight at 5 Lazy Brook.
Yes,
How did you know that he already knew?
because he asked me about it.
He asked you about the fight
Yes.
at 5 Lazy Brook. And based upon that question, you determined he already knew about it.
Yes,
And how long did it take you to get over to Tyler Rich's house?
another 10 minutes.
Any drinking along the way?
Not that I recall, no.
And you told us yesterday that you weren't involved on that group chat, right?
No.
But then you told us today that in fact, maybe you had sent a message, just one message, right?
Yes,
What was that message?
saying that they were pussies for jumping me at the Lifer household.
And to come to 43 Laurel Glen Drive, right?
No,
You didn't send out the address,
no,
but somebody did, didn't they?
I believe so, yes.
On that group chat, right?
I would assume so, yes.
Well, you wouldn't assume so. You told us you were aware of that group chat. It was going off and it was buzzing in your pocket when you told us yesterday, right?
Yes,
And you would look at it from time to time and just say, oh, that's nothing. I'm not worried about that, right?
Yeah.
Except today you told us, in fact, no, you had been involved. You would agree that's different than just looking at it and ignoring it, right?
this is before, like, I was at the Rich's house. I was not sending any texts. This was all, like, before I even got picked up by Charlie.
Do you recall speaking to officers on May 15th at about noon when you were at St. Vincent's Hospital?
Slightly,
Officers Millington and Nugent came in and they talked to you while you were there, right?
yes.
And you told them that your friends and you had reached out to the kids who jumped you and told them to come to Tyler Rich's house at 43 Laurel Glen Drive now that you had your friends with you, right?
I don't recall that, no.
You don't recall that?
No.
Do you generally, in your everyday speaking, say that you don't recall something?
Objection argumentative.
Sustained.
Do you recall speaking to detectives on June 9th around 3:30 with your parents at your home, Detectives Iannotti and Bango?
Somewhat, yes.
Do you recall telling them that someone from the Shelton High School group texted the St. Joe's kids and challenged them to show up at 43 Laurel Glen Drive?
I do recall that, yes.
You do recall that?
Yes.
So again, it's not that you were just feeling your phone buzz and thinking, gosh, I don't want to pay attention to this. I don't have any idea what's going on. You were aware of what was happening, right?
No.
Well, how were you not aware of what was happening?
Because I wasn't reading the text messages. I just saw the notifications
But you texted on that same group chat, right?
hours previously.
Hours previously.
Yeah.
Hours previously, you told these kids that they were pussies, correct?
Yes.
On this group chat,
Yes.
correct? What time was that?
Around like 8 or 9 o'clock.
So at least around 8 or 9 o'clock, you knew that you could use that basketball group chat to text with these St. Joe's kids.
Yes.
Sir, would it surprise you if you learned that those kids weren't added to that group chat until after 5 Lazy Brook?
I'm not sure. What do you mean by that?
You're telling us that you texted these kids using this basketball group chat between 8 to 9 o'clock, right?
I believe so, yes.
Told them that they were pussies, right?
Yes.
But you didn't tell them to come to 43 Laurel Glen Drive because now you had your friends with you.
I did not tell them that, no.
You didn't tell them
I
that,
did not.
or you don't recall
I
telling them
did
that.
not tell them that.
Did somebody tell them that?
I'm sure.
You know somebody told them that, right? You were part of that group chat. You had to open it up and text on that group chat, right?
Object.
Sustained.
Asked and answered. No speculation.
So you would agree that when you texted on that group chat, you would have to open it up. You couldn't just look at the notification, right?
No, you can just look at the notification.
In order to text something back,
I wasn't texting anything back
you were texting on that group chat, right?
beforehand.
And in order to text on the group chat, you had to open the group chat, right?
Yes.
And you were with Griffin Marcinzik, right?
Yes.
And you could see where Griffin Marcinzik was, right?
When?
When he was with you in the car,
Yes.
when he was with you at the Ridzik house,
Yes.
when he was with you when Charlie Connery came to pick you up.
Yes.
You were side by side most of the time, right?
No.
Not in the car?
No.
Where was Griffin in the car?
Which car?
Well, where was Griffin in Charlie Connery's car?
I don't know.
Where were you?
In the back seat?
You couldn't see Griffin texting?
No.
Did you see him with his phone out?
Yes.
Did you see him with his phone open?
I don't know.
You don't know. You think he just had his phone out in his hand, but you saw that, but you don't know if it was open or not.
I'm not sure. No.
What'd you see him doing with the phone when you saw him with it?
I don't know.
What were y'all talking about on the way there
Just what had happened.
with Charlie?
Like in Charlie's car?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's you, Charlie, and Griffin in the car, right?
Yes.
And you guys are talking about what happened at 5 Lazy Brook.
Objection. Asked and answered.
Yes.
I'll allow it. Go ahead.
And you're talking about what is going to happen next when you get to Tyler Rich's house, right?
No.
And there's no talk about payback or anything like that, right?
No.
And so there's this basketball group chat that you've now told us you actually did participate in which there's a lot of shit talking, but nothing's going on like that on the way to the house in Charlie Connery's car, right?
No.
You guys are just calm, cool, collected,
Yes.
not excited,
No.
not angry about what happened.
No.
Nobody's saying, hey, we should text these kids and get them to come over here.
I was not. No.
You weren't.
I was not.
Was Griffin?
Objection, that calls for hearsay.
Sustained.
You told us yesterday that when you got to Tyler Rich's house, everybody already knew about what had happened at 5 Lazy Brook, right?
Yes.
How many people were there when you got to the house?
20 or 30.
And you told us yesterday you didn't really care though, right?
No.
You didn't really care. Why did you text these guys and tell them that they were pussies?
Because I had been jumped.
So you did care.
I'd been jumped.
You did care.
Not really. No.
Not really. Didn't anger you.
No.
Didn't upset you.
No.
Didn't make you want payback.
No.
You went to school with Tyler Rich.
Yes.
You played football with Tyler Rich.
Yes.
He was a couple years older than you.
Yes.
And he was the captain of the football team for 1 year while you were there.
Yes.
You'd been to his house before.
Yes.
You knew to go in through the Bilko doors on the side, right?
Yes.
You knew when you got there that there was going to be some drinking going on.
Yes.
And you said that people were coming up to you and questioning you, and they already knew about what had happened, right?
Yes.
Who came up to you and questioned you about it?
I don't recall.
Well, you told us yesterday Jimmy McGrath was one of the first ones to come up to you, right?
He was one of the people that did come up.
And he came up to you and asked you about what happened in 5 Lazy Brook,
Yes.
right? And he was interested in what had happened in 5 Lazy Brook, right?
I think that calls for speculation.
Sustained.
Did his demeanor and his questioning indicate to you that he was interested in what had happened at 5 Lazy Brook?
Yes.
Did it indicate to you that he was concerned about what had happened at Lazy Brook?
No.
He wasn't concerned.
No. He just wanted to hear what happened.
So it didn't indicate to you that he was excited in any way about it?
No.
Didn't indicate in any way that he was upset about it?
No.
Didn't indicate in any way to you that he was angry about it?
No.
It's just calm, cool, collected. First thing he asked you was, hey, what happened at 5 Lazy Brook?
Pretty much.
Objection,
Yes.
calls for hearsay.
I'll allow it.
Do you remember anybody other than Jimmy McGrath coming up to you and asking you about it?
No.
But everybody there already knew, you told us, right?
Yes.
So you would agree that it was more than just Jimmy McGrath who came up to you and asked you about it, right?
Certainly. Yes.
And in fact, there was some conversation that occurred, right? With everybody that was there yesterday. Conversation, hanging out, people drinking.
Yes.
And one of the main topics of conversation was what had happened to you at 5 Lazy Brook.
Yes.
He told us you only drank one beer at that time, right?
Yes.
How do you know it was only one beer?
Because it was only one beer.
You recall that?
Yes.
And people were planning to reach out to these kids and ask them to come over to 43 Laurel Glen Drive, right?
I believe so.
You know so, right? Because your phone's buzzing and going off and people are talking about it. And there's talk about getting these kids over there, isn't there?
I'm not sure.
And at one point, Griffin Marcinzik texts the address and a picture of 43 Laurel Glen Drive on this group chat to these kids, correct?
I don't know.
And then you told us at some point a car shows up outside, right?
Yes.
And that car is a Honda Pilot, right?
Yes.
And nobody was surprised by that, were they?
Not that I'm aware of.
No, they knew that car was going to show up. They texted it to come there, right?
Objection, that-
Sustained.
And so because nobody is surprised, everybody empties out of the house to go confront the car, right?
No.
How many people emptied out of the house to go confront the car?
I don't know.
Well, you told us yesterday that at least 10 to 15 approached the vehicle, right?
Yes, but that's not everybody.
No, that's about half of you, isn't it?
Somewhat. Yes.
And you could be wrong about 10 to 15. You would agree?
Yeah.
Could have been more. Could have been 20.
Could have been less.
Could it have been more?
I don't know.
And you told us yesterday that the car parked right in front of the drive, right?
No, it was not exactly right in front of the driveway, but it was a little farther back. It was about halfway in front of the driveway.
Okay. Mr. Heinz, I'm just going to come around you. I don't want to surprise you, but I'm going to come around and put this up on the easel behind you. At number 52, states exhibit number.
Yeah. No.
Try not to drop it today. And if you would, can you show us where that vehicle parked when it showed up that first time?
It's not in that frame.
It's not in that frame.
No.
So it's not that close to the driveway.
It was back here. It's over here.
All right. We are going to use States Exhibit 49. States Exhibit 49 on your screen there. Looking at that, do you see the driveway in front of 43 Laurel Glen?
Yes, I do.
Do you see the what looks like some sort of pathway down to the house across the street?
Yes.
And do you see the corner, the intersection of Adams and Laurel Glen Drive?
Yes, I do.
And do you see what appears to be a sewer or drainage grate there?
Yes.
And do you see across the street on the other side of Laurel Glen 43, a sort of area of large trees there?
Yes.
Okay. Now that we've oriented ourselves, can you describe for us where that vehicle parked first?
More near the bushes across the street.
More near these, would you agree maybe these are trees given their apparent height?
Yes.
So you think that the vehicle parked more near trees on the opposite side of Laurel Glen Drive?
Yeah.
And So in relation to the driveway, you would agree that that is not near the driveway,
It was like that general area.
it's somewhere over there, closer to the curb on that side of the street?
Oh, no, they were in the middle of the road.
They're in the middle of the road.
Yes.
There were other cars parked up and down the street as well, correct?
Yes.
All right. So now we've got the vehicle out there, and you told us that 10 to 15 of you approached the vehicle, correct?
Yes.
And in fact, when you got right next to the vehicle, you didn't talk to anyone, right?
No.
But you noticed that, in fact, these were the kids that had been told on the basketball group chat to come to 43 Lower Glen Drive, right?
Objection.
Sustained.
You noticed that these were Mr. Snyder, Mr. De Silva, and Mr. Valley in the car, you told us, right?
Yes.
Those were the kids from 5 Lazy Brook, correct?
Yes.
And these were, therefore, the kids that had been told to come to 43 Laurel Glen Drive, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
Again, it didn't surprise you that those kids had showed up, right?
I'm not sure. I don't remember.
You don't remember whether or not you were surprised that they showed up?
No.
Didn't you just tell us moments ago that you weren't surprised? And that car was facing towards Farmhouse Lane, correct?
That's at the other end of the street, right?
That is at the other end of the street, yes, sir. And you noticed the three that I've just mentioned, as well as Mackenzie Trafficante.
Yes.
How did you know Mackenzie?
I just knew who she was from India.
And you said the 10 or 15 of you approached the vehicle and someone had a conversation, right?
Yes.
And you were standing right beside the vehicle, correct?
Yes.
And you were on the driver's side of the vehicle, correct?
Yeah, I was kind of going back and forth,
When you say back and forth between what 2 points?
like driver's side and the passenger side.
So you were going back and forth around the vehicle from one side to the other?
Yeah.
Behind the vehicle or in front of the vehicle?
I don't recall.
Was anybody else going back and forth with you?
I don't know.
Who else was there at the vehicle with you?
I don't.
You don't know any of the other people that were at the vehicle with you?
No.
Did you see Tyler Rich there?
No.
Did you see Faison Teal there? Did you see Michael Samperi there? Did you see Sal Perry there? Did you see Alex Bernstein there? Did you see Matthew Lokovich there? Did you see Tanner Chernowski there? You didn't see Tyler Rich there?
No.
So there were 10 or 15 of you there, and these were all friends that you'd had and played football with at least since the 8th grade.
Yes.
But you can't tell who was there with you at the car.
No.
You heard voices.
Yes.
Whose voices did you hear?
I don't know.
You said you heard someone having a conversation.
Yes.
Who was that was having the conversation?
I don't know.
Well, you said that initially that conversation was normal, right?
Yes.
When you say normal, what do you mean by normal conversation?
Like the one me and you are having right now.
Okay. So it was just a questioning back and forth. Hey, how you doing?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember any mention of McDonald's?
No.
You didn't think this was an Uber that had showed up to deliver something, right?
No.
And you can't tell us who was having this conversation, but it seemed to be a normal conversation. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And then you said, then it became aggressive, right?
Yes.
It didn't just get aggressive, right?
What do you mean by that?
Somebody did something for it to become aggressive, for it to change, right?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Did you see Tyler Rich reach inside the front driver's side window?
No.
Did you see Tyler Rich put his body halfway into the front driver's side window?
No.
Did you see Aidan King at the car?
No.
And then you told us that cans started getting thrown at the car, right?
Yes.
Again, sir, they didn't just start getting thrown, right?
Yes.
No, somebody threw something, right?
They threw a can. Yes.
Yes. It didn't just start from nothing, right?
I don't know.
You've described it as cans just started getting thrown at the car.
From what I was aware of, yes, that's what had happened.
But then you told us that you threw a can at the car.
Yes, I did.
So it didn't just start getting thrown, you threw a can at the car.
I didn't start throwing the cans.
Okay, you joined in of the throwing of the cans.
Yes, I did.
You would agree that it was other people, not some anonymous entity that was throwing cans at the vehicle, right?
Yes.
And those people that were throwing cans at the vehicle were aggressive. Would you agree?
They were aggressive, you said?
Yes.
Sure.
That's an aggressive act, right?
Yeah.
What would you expect the response to be to a can being thrown?
I'm not sure.
That closer.
Sustained.
What did you intend to happen when you threw the can at the car?
For my can to hit the car?
You wanted those kids to get out of the car, right?
No.
You heard somebody say, leave or get out.
No.
You didn't want them to get out of the car.
I didn't hear them say that. I didn't want them to get out of the car. I didn't care if they got out of the car.
You didn't want them to get out of the car. You didn't care if they got out of the car. So why'd you throw the can at the car?
I just wanted to throw the can at the car.
Is that a normal thing for you to want to do?
No.
Why did you want to throw a can at that car?
I just saw other people doing it.
Do you generally just do what you see other people doing, even if it's criminal?
No.
But in this instance, something about the occasion made you want to do that.
Yes.
What was it about the occasion that made you want to do that?
I don't know.
Okay. In any event, you threw a can and you hit the car. And other people were throwing cans too, right?
Yes.
Were you still circling around the vehicle while you did this?
No.
Where were you now?
I was on the passenger side.
On the passenger side.
Yes.
Who did you see on the passenger side?
I don't remember.
How many other people were on the passenger side with you?
Maybe 5,
5 people on the passenger side?
maybe.
How many people were on the driver's side?
I don't know.
More people were on the other side, right?
I don't know.
Sustained.
Could you see other people on the other side?
Yes.
So there were other people on the other side.
Yes.
You just don't know how many.
No.
Or you know, but you won't tell us.
I don't know how many.
Sustained.
You never saw Tyler Rich on the driver's side of the vehicle.
No.
You saw in the picture yesterday of the vehicle that it had a defect in the windshield, right?
Yes.
Did you see that when you were on the passenger side?
No.
You saw it in that video, in that picture though.
Yes.
Did you hear glass shatter?
No.
And you didn't see anybody throw anything from that vehicle, did you?
Not that I recall. No.
You didn't see anybody put their hands on the vehicle?
No.
You didn't see anybody kick the vehicle?
No.
You didn't see anybody rock the vehicle?
No.
But at some point you said the car pulled away and started driving back and forth really fast, right?
Yes.
But they weren't throwing anything out the windows.
No.
And at that point, you were in the driveway, you told us.
Yes.
Who else was in the driveway with you?
I don't remember.
Were there other people in the driveway with you?
I'm sure there was.
Was Face on Teal in the driveway? Was Tyler Rich in the driveway?
I don't know.
Can you tell us anybody who was in the driveway with you?
No.
But you told us you were talking to the person that was next to you, right?
Yes.
Who was that?
I don't know.
And you said at some point you do remember that the car stopped at the corner near Farmhouse Lane and Laurel Glen Drive, right?
Yes.
Where were you standing at that point?
When it stopped,
Yes.
I believe I was in the driveway still.
And you told us that you did remember that Tyler Rich at that point was running down the street after the car, right?
Yes.
Where had he been before he was running down the street after the car?
I don't know.
But you remember that he was running down the street after the car.
Yes.
Was anybody else with him?
There were some people. I don't know who they were though.
How many?
2 or 3.
2 or 3. And you told us that you walked halfway down there by yourself, right?
Yes.
You weren't with Tyler Rich?
No.
You weren't with Faison Teal?
No.
You weren't with Enrique Fiola?
No.
And you said you were by the trees on the left-hand side of Laurel Glen by pine trees just past 43 Laurel Glen Drive. Do you remember telling us that yesterday?
Yeah, like where the shade is in the picture.
But you weren't close enough to see what was going on, you told us.
No.
So at that point, you couldn't see Tyler Rich anymore?
No.
At that point, you couldn't see Faison Teal?
No.
Couldn't see Enrico Fiola?
No.
Could you see Charlie Connery?
No.
Did you see Mr. Valley?
No.
You didn't see Mr. Valley emerge from the bushes on the other side?
No.
Did you see anybody throwing anything at that point?
No.
Did you hear anybody saying anything at that point?
No.
Where was the vehicle now?
Still at the end of the road.
Still at the end of the road. So you could see the vehicle. What was it doing?
Parked.
Were the doors open?
Yes.
So you could see that the doors were open.
Yes.
And did you see anybody come out of the car?
I believe so. Yes.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Who?
I don't know.
And where was Tyler Rich at that point?
I believe down at the car.
And sir, do you recall telling officers on June 9th when you spoke to them at your home that in fact you, Enrico Fiola, and Tyler Rich approached and told them to leave?
No, I don't.
You don't recall telling them?
No.
Did you tell them that?
I don't recall saying that.
You're telling us now that you only walked halfway down there, right?
Yes.
And you weren't close enough to see what was going on?
No.
But you told us yesterday that people appeared to be talking.
Yes.
What was it about their appearance that led you to believe they were talking?
Like hand gestures, stuff like that. Looked like they were having a conversation.
Civil conversation?
Yes.
Hand gestures like what?
Just normal hand gestures that you would say while you're having a conversation.
Didn't appear to be aggressive to you at that point?
No.
You didn't throw anything down there at that point?
No.
You were done throwing things?
Yes.
And you weren't upset anymore at that point?
No.
And you watched that for 30 seconds before you went back to the house, correct?
Yes.
Through the Bilko doors, correct?
Yes.
Back inside to Tyler Rich's.
Yes.
And you said when you got back there, everyone seemed to be in there then, right?
Yes.
Did they pass you, the group of folks that you had seen down at the end of Farmhouse Lane?
No.
How did everyone get back in before you got back into the basement?
Because I was halfway down the street. Not that many people walked there. Everybody just went inside.
Did you see Tyler Rich inside?
No.
Did you see Faison Teal inside?
No.
Did you see Matthew Lockovich inside?
No.
Did you see Alex Bernstein inside?
No.
Did you see Sal Perry inside?
No.
Did you see Michael Samperry inside?
No.
Did you see Charlie Connery inside?
No.
Did you see Tommy Connery inside?
No.
Did you see Ty Wood inside?
No.
Who did you see inside?
Don't remember.
But everyone seemed to be in there.
Yes.
And did they all seem to be calm?
I don't remember.
Did they seem to be agitated in any way?
I don't remember.
What were they doing?
I don't remember. I just remember being in there and there was people in there.
So before, when everybody was in there and nobody had even arrived, everybody was interested in what had happened at Lazy Brook. You would agree?
Yes.
But now, after all of this commotion, everybody's back in the basement and you're telling us that nothing was going on. It was all just business as usual.
Yeah.
Was there any drinking going on?
I don't know.
And then you said you heard they're back, right?
Yes.
Who said they're back?
I don't know.
Whose voice was it?
I don't know.
Was it just one person?
I believe so.
And how did they say they're back?
They're back.
Just like that?
Yeah. They're in the front yard. They're back. Just like that.
Just like, oh, they're in the front yard. They're back.
Yeah, pretty much.
Not excited or agitated in any way?
No.
Not they're in the yard. Let's go. They're back. No, because you said instantly you were like, I want to go see what it is, right?
Yeah.
What did you think it was going to be?
I don't know.
You just were curious about what might be going on.
Yes.
So you decided, I'm going to go out and just see what it is.
Yes.
Did you walk leisurely back to the front yard?
Yes, I did.
Didn't run?
No.
But you told the state's attorney that you were anticipating a fight in the front yard, right?
No.
You said you anticipated a fist fight when you talked to him.
No.
You don't recall telling him before that you anticipated a fist fight when he was asking you about whether or not there were weapons?
No.
Were you anticipating a fist fight?
No, I really wasn't.
So the truth of the matter is when you walked out there,
Yeah.
you were anticipating a fight because you wanted payback for 5 Lazy Brook, right?
No, I just walked out there to see who was out there.
Well, you'd heard they're back, right?
Yes.
That's what drew your attention to going out there, right?
Yes.
You thought they're back meant you were going to see the kids in the pilot again, right?
Most likely, yes.
The kids that you had thrown the can at before, right?
Yeah.
But you didn't want payback.
No.
You weren't anticipating a fight.
No.
You didn't think, man, I've got 20 of my buddies from the Shelton High football team here. We got pretty good odds on our side.
No.
You were just curious.
Yes.
He told us that you walked into the yard and you were somewhere behind the red bush, right?
Yes.
And you saw, well, first off, when you were somewhere behind the red bush, did you see Tommy Connery?
No.
He wasn't in that area with you?
No. I remember I was one of the first people that walked outside.
You were one of the first people that walked outside.
Yes.
When you walked outside, did you see Faison Teal?
No.
Did you see Tyler Rich?
No.
Who did you see when you walked outside?
The defendant in De Silva.
That's it?
Yes.
So you were the first one outside.
One of, yes.
Well, who else was out there with you?
I don't know.
Well, how do you know you were one of?
Because I can remember I never made it, like I was inside the basement, but I never like left the area of like where the stairs were, like to lead back outside through the corridors. So when somebody said they're here, I was already right there, right by the stairs. So I was one of the first person that stepped up the stairs and walked outside.
I thought you told us before that you had gotten back, went inside his house, and you're in the basement, and everyone seemed to be in there.
Yeah, they were all in there, and I was one of the last people in there.
So now you're saying you didn't get into the basement, you were still on the stairs.
No, I was in there. I was just next to the stairs, like at the bottom of the steps, you can say.
The person who said they're back, were they inside or
I
outside?
don't know.
And you came back up the stairs and you went and you stood behind the red bush and you just saw these two people in the yard.
Yes.
Do you see the exhibit behind you, sir?
Yes, I do.
Do you still have the pointer with the little red tip on it?
I do.
Can you show us where you saw the two individuals?
They're right about in this area.
Okay, so they're back by the red bush,
Yes.
okay, beside the black truck?
Yeah.
In front of the cement square.
Around there, yeah.
They look like they were coming into the house.
I don't know.
That's the same path that people take to get to the Bilko doors, right?
Yes.
Where was Mr. De Silva?
He was behind the defendant.
Behind the defendant.
Yes.
Could you see him?
Yes.
So was he behind and to the side or directly behind you?
Behind and to the side.
Which side?
My right side. So it
Because
would
you're
have been-
facing the street.
Yes, I'm facing the street. So
So Mr. De Silva is on the side by the, we've described before as Belgian blocks there that go along the side of the driveway.
yes,
And where was Mr. Valley?
in front of him and in like more like this area up here a little more.
Okay. So up close to the tree line.
Yeah.
And you were one of the first ones out, you told us.
Yes.
And you didn't see anything in Mr. De Silva's hands?
No.
Didn't see anything in Mr. Valley's hands?
No.
Didn't have a knife out that he was flashing around and saying, who wants?
No.
In fact, he wasn't talking to you, right?
Who?
Mr. Valley.
About,
Well, he wasn't talking to you. He was asking, where's Aidan King, you told us.
well, he was talking to me, asking me where Aidan King was.
You thought he was asking you where Aidan King was.
Yes, he was.
Do you know Aidan King?
Yes, I do.
How do you know Aidan
I
King?
played football with him.
Do you know if he knows Mr. Valley?
I don't know.
Objection, how,
Sustained.
And you said that you interacted with them, right?
Yes.
And what did that interaction involve?
The defendant walked up with like his shirt up over his head, like trying to hide his face almost. And he was saying, where's Aidan King? Where's Aidan King? Where's Aidan King? Just repeatedly over and over again. And by this time, it was me, Ty Wood, and Nikki DeJesus all next to each other. And we're like, don't worry about it. Like, it doesn't matter where he is. And I pulled the shirt off of his head and I was questioning him saying, like, what are you doing with that on your head? Why are you wearing a shirt on your head? You look
So
stupid.
you reached out and you put hands on Mr. Valley.
No, I just kind of went like that because he had his shirt up on his head. So I just pulled it down.
Shirt was on his head.
Yes.
You reached out and touched the shirt,
Yes.
but that's not you putting hands on Mr. Valley.
Not in a physical way. No.
You thought you were straightening his shirt out for him, making sure he looked okay.
Yeah. I mean, I never really seen people put their shirt up on their head like that before. I didn't know what he meant by it.
You didn't tell him, Aidan, I don't know where Aidan is.
Yeah, I did say that.
Oh, you did?
I don't know where Aidan is.
I thought you told him, don't worry about it. I'm right here.
Pretty much, yes.
So that's not, I don't know where Aidan is, right?
I said all of it. Yes.
You said, I'm right here,
Believe so. Yes.
indicating to him that you were the person he needed to deal with, right?
No, I was just the person in front of him.
The tip of the spear, so to speak.
What do you mean by that?
Well, you were the first one that was confronting him, right?
Yeah.
And you told us that at this point, you know that you had been joined by at least two others that you've identified to us, right?
Yes.
And that was Ty Wood?
Yes.
And who was the other person?
Nikki to Jesus.
Can you show us on that exhibit behind you there where they were?
Right next to me.
Yes.
So like right in this area.
And there's now three of you at least.
Yes.
Was there anybody else out there?
Not that I know of. No.
So you think it was just the three of you and Mr. Valley?
Yes.
You weren't aware that other people had started to come out of the house?
No.
Could you hear other people?
No.
What was Mr. De Silva doing?
I don't know. He was kind of just standing behind and to the right. I wasn't really paying attention to him. Like after I took off the defendant's shirt off of his head, I was really just locked in, staring him right in the eyes. I wasn't worried about Mr. De Silva.
You were staring him right in the eyes?
Yes.
And you say he had his own shirt up over his head before you reached out and pulled it down. Were you standing in such a way that you were blocking anybody else's view from seeing Mr. Valley?
And how would he know?
Sustained.
You said after you pulled his shirt off of his head that he got crazy and started freaking out, right?
Yes.
Became very argumentative.
Yes.
Asked you, why'd you take his shirt off his head?
Yes.
Asked you, what are you doing touching me?
No.
He took a swing at you.
Who?
Mr. Valley.
No.
No?
No.
You didn't see him take a swing or flinch?
Oh, he was flinching the whole time.
He was flinching the whole time.
Yeah.
Because there were, by your account, three people that were facing him.
Yes.
Did you become aware at some point that there were more than just three of you out there?
No.
You never became aware that there was more than three of you out there?
Well, after I had gotten up from the altercation I had with the defendant.
You said that at least you, Nikki DeJesus, and Ty Wood are talking shit back and forth, right?
Yes.
And that lasted, you said, for 30 to 45 seconds.
Probably yes.
And you were challenging him to fight, right?
No.
What were you saying?
Just talking shit.
And that shit talk didn't involve any challenge to fight?
No, that's not like, no, it's not at all. None of us really were saying that at all. Nobody was saying.
The shit talk
Let's
just
fight.
involved what? Insulting his clothing?
Could say that, yes.
Did you ever feel anybody push against you from behind?
No.
But out of nowhere, Tyler Rich punches Mr. Valley in the face, right?
Yes.
Where did Tyler Rich come from?
I don't know.
You don't know. So at that point, you would agree it's not just three of you, it's at least now four of you that are fighting with Mr. Valley.
I'm not sure.
Well, there's you, right?
Yes.
There's Ty Wood, right?
Well, I don't know if he was fighting.
Well, he was right there with you.
Doesn't mean he was fighting.
Okay, fair enough. Nikki DeJesus was right there with you.
Yes.
And now Tyler Rich was right there with you as well.
No, he just came out of nowhere and punched him in the face.
You would agree he at least was now fighting Mr. Valley, right?
Not that I don't know.
Well, you would at least agree that he punched him in the face out of nowhere, right?
Yes.
And so the three of you, Ty Wood, yourself, Nikki DeJesus, you were distracting Mr. Valley so that Ty Rich could punch him in the face.
No.
No. But after Tyler Rich punched him in the face, you backed off, right? And you were like, oh, Tyler Rich has got this.
No.
No. You went forward, you got on top of Mr. Valley, and you told us that you punched him at least twice in the face, right?
Yes.
In fact, people crowded forward at that point, right?
Not sure.
You're not sure.
I just know of my actions.
And your actions, at least, were that you punched him twice in the face, right?
Yes.
While he's down on the ground, right?
Yes.
You're over top of him, right?
Yes.
You've got control of him, right?
No.
No. You don't have a handful of shirt in one hand and punch in the other, but you would agree you're at least over top of him,
Yes.
delivering these two blows.
Yes.
Only two blows.
Yes.
Nobody else has joined you in this attack.
Not that I know of. No.
And the crowd didn't push forward.
I don't know what the crowd did.
Crowd didn't swarm around.
I don't know.
You heard screaming?
Yeah.
You heard yelling?
Yeah.
You heard somebody say, yes, sir.
No.
You saw it in the video at least? That was Tanner Chernowski
Yes.
filming this, right?
Not the beginning of the fight. No. He got the end of the fight.
The video that we see, that was Tanner Chernowski who recorded it, right?
Yeah.
And he was recording that and yelling, yes, sir, right?
Yeah.
And that was sort of celebratory, right?
Objection.
Sustained.
You described to us that while you were on top of Mr. Valley punching him, his shoulder and his bicep were held back.
It seemed like that. Yeah.
What was holding it back?
I don't know.
And you could see his fist, right?
Yes.
And at some point, you got off of him and walked away, right?
Yeah.
After you felt the stick, right?
Yes.
And you said he wasn't trying to hit you in a certain spot.
No, he was just like, I just seen his fist like this, just going like this repeatedly over and over again.
Flailing wildly.
Yeah.
And your injuries, sir, start sort of at the middle of your body and make their way down into the backside, right?
So yeah, my first one is up more near my armpit. One's down more by my hip. The other one is like my thigh.
Where was Tommy Connery at that point?
I don't know.
Didn't see Tommy Connery. Did you see other people punching or kicking Mr. Valley?
No.
It was just the two of you isolated.
Yes.
And you told us that after you got off of him, you realized that Tyler De Silva was in a fight, right?
Yes.
And that he was fighting with his own group of people, right?
Yes.
And how many people were fighting with him?
Like 2 or 3.
2 or 3?
Yeah.
And you did not engage with Tyler De Silva, right?
No, I did not.
You didn't throw any punches or throw any kicks at Tyler.
No.
The fight took a minute.
Around that, yeah.
Could have been more, maybe 2 or 3 minutes.
No, it was probably less.
Probably less than a minute.
Yeah.
You said you only watched the fight with Tyler De Silva, but you agree that other people were throwing punches and blows at Mr. De Silva, right?
Yes.
Tommy Connery didn't come over and get involved and throw some blows at Mr. Valley.
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Didn't jump in the middle and separate you.
I don't remember that, no.
Did you see Charlie Connery?
No.
And it was when you heard he's got a knife that Ty Wood pointed out to you that you were bleeding, right?
Yes.
And where was Ty Wood at that point?
He was like right next to me,
And where were you?
right next to him.
And could you show us where that was on the exhibit behind you? Okay. So by that point, you had moved away from where you were originally when you started with Mr. Valley, correct? In fact, when this original interaction or confrontation occurs, it was where you've described as being by the red bush, over by the tree line and the black truck, right? How did you get from there over to by the tree where you've just pointed to?
I walked.
The fight itself with Mr. Valley, you say, all occurred over where the initial confrontation took place?
Yes.
And when you say you saw the defendant's fist clenched with something in it that you now believe was a knife, that was his right hand, correct?
Yeah, it's his right hand.
You told us when this started, it was just the 3 of you, Mr. DeJesus, yourself, and Mr. Wood facing Mr. Valley, correct? At some point, Mr. Rich comes over and joins the 3 of you and throws this first punch, correct?
Yes.
Mr. Valley hadn't thrown any punches at that point?
No.
Hadn't shown you a knife at that point? Hadn't threatened you at that point?
No.
And you would agree, would you not, that at least in the video, there are well more than 3 kids involved with fighting?
Fighting who?
Fighting with whoever's out there. There's more than 3 kids that are out there fighting, right?
I'm going to object. That's confusing.
Sustained.
You would agree that in the video, we see more than 3 kids on the video, correct?
Yeah.
That it was a chaotic scene, right?
Of course.
That people were rolling around and it was hard to tell who was where, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And you never saw Jack Snyder leave the car, right?
No.
And after you backed off of Raul Valley, you could see that he was still fighting with some of the other Shelton High kids, right?
Well, I have no idea.
You don't recall any of that. After you backed off of him, you don't recall anything about what else was going on with Mr. Valley. But you do recall that you saw Mr. De Silva fighting.
Yeah, like I got up and I immediately like turn around and I see what's going on with De Silva.
And you just watched.
Yes.
Didn't throw any kicks.
No.
Didn't throw any punches.
No.
Didn't get involved in any way with. And that night you were wearing the green hoodie,
Yes.
black shorts, and the white trim.
Yes.
Other than Tyler Rich throwing the punch at Mr. Valley, can you tell us anybody else who threw a punch that night? You never saw Mr. Valley punch anybody?
No.
And it was only after you were standing over top of him, punching him, that you felt a stick in your side.
Yeah.
And your recollection is that it was just you and Mr. Valley fighting alone.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Nothing further.
And there were some questions about the group chat that had started. And my question to you is, at what point after the fight at Lazy Brook did you even participate in the group chat?
I really didn't. I think like maybe in that car ride back to Natalia's house, I might have said something, but after that, I didn't say anything.
So it wouldn't have been when you got to Tyler Rich's house.
No.
And when you got to Tyler Rich's house, you said you were just getting notifications in your pocket.
Yeah, I
And
was.
you would look at it and put it back.
Yeah.
And when you get notifications, can you read what they say if you just pick it out and pick it up and look at it?
If like my phone is unlocked, yes. But
If it's locked, what does it look like?
it just says like an iMessage notification.
And you didn't participate in that group messaging once you were at Tyler Rich's house?
No.
Now, with regards to, you were asked a little bit about where you were when you were at Tyler Rich's after the car goes down Glen, parks down the street in your farmhouse.
Yeah.
This is just for the record. I'm showing you State Exhibit 49. Can you show us in 49 where you were?
I was over by like where like the shade is coming across the street.
So here on the left side of the road here.
Yeah.
So you were maybe like one house up maybe, or just before the second property?
Yeah.
And would you agree with me that Farmhouse Road is somewhere down this area up here?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm directing my pen somewhere near the intersection of Farmhouse Road at the top of 49.
All right, so noted.
And when you were in that area, you indicated you couldn't hear what was being said?
No.
And could you see people down the road?
Yes.
And you indicated that you knew Tyler Rich went down the road?
Yes.
Did you know anybody else from your friends that went down the road?
No.
But it was more than one person?
Yes.
And when Tyler Rich went down the road, how long would you say you watched what was going on down the road?
Maximum a minute.
Okay. And at some point in time, did you turn around and walk back to the house?
Yeah.
So in that minute, when you were watching what was happening down the road, you saw people talking. Did you see any fighting going on down the road?
No.
Now, when you got back to the house, got back to Tyler Rich's house, you said you were in the basement area, but that included in your mind the stairway.
Yeah, I was right next to the stairs.
So were you at the top of the stairs or were you at the bottom?
I'm at the bottom of the stairs, but like right at the bottom of the stairs.
And when you're at the bottom of the stairs, are there other people in the basement?
Yeah.
And what's happening in the basement?
People hanging out there.
Just hanging out. And do you recall every single person that was in the basement at that given time? Why don't you recall who was in the basement?
I just knew they were my friends.
Some of your friends included the names that we mentioned during your testimony today and yesterday. At some point in time, you heard they're back.
Yeah.
And you go back outside. You're
Yes.
one of the first people outside.
Yes.
And when you're outside, you walk up to the defendant.
Yes.
And at some point in time, you have a conversation with the defendant. You pull
Yes.
the shirt off.
Yes.
How long would you say that interaction happened before you noticed Tyler Rich punch the defendant in the face?
A minute.
And before the punch, did you anticipate that there was going to be a fight, physical fight?
No.
When the punch happens, is that when the fight starts?
Yes.
And when the fight starts, my question to you is, how soon after when that punch is thrown from Tyler Rich, when you're on top of the defendant, do you feel pain in your side?
No more than 30 seconds.
No more than 30 seconds? Could it have been more? Could it have been less?
Less.
So you punch him twice and then you feel pain. And soon after you punch him, you see this. What motion do you see?
It's like his like fist balled up like this and just going like that repeatedly.
Before you engaged with the defendant, before he got punched, did you see if he had anything in his hands at that point in time?
No.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Any cross?
Briefly.
Said before Tyler Rich threw that punch, you never anticipated a fight.
No.
And you told us that how soon after was it when this fight broke out that you started to feel the pain? And you said that was 30 seconds, right?
Yes.
And then the state's attorney asked you, could have been more, right?
He did.
And you said, no, less, right?
Yes.
And in fact, you would agree that it's always less. It could never have been a longer period of time when you've been asked on a series of questions about how long something lasted, right?
I'm going to object. It's argumentative.
I'm going to sustain the objection on that. It mischaracterizes an argument. Thank you.
Couldn't have been any longer than 30 seconds.
No.
And you told us yesterday that you didn't participate in any of that group chat, but now you've said maybe in that car ride is when you admit you sent at least one text, right?
Yeah.
And you didn't participate in that at all at Tyler Rich's house, right?
No.
You told us you didn't see anything in Mr. Valley's hands, correct? When he
No.
was standing there facing you.
I was not looking at his hands.
You reached out and you pulled the shirt off of him, you claim, correct?
Yes.
He didn't punch you at that point.
No,
He
he just got like super upset.
He didn't shove you at that point.
No.
He didn't touch you in any way.
No.
He didn't show you a knife.
No.
He didn't say, hey, I've got a knife. I'm going to cut you.
No.
And so from the time that Tyler Rich punched Mr. Valley in the face until the time that you felt the pain and got off of Mr. Valley, that was at least 30 seconds, right?
Yeah.
30 seconds, you're standing over him, punching him in the face only 2 times.
Yes.
Nobody else has joined in with you.
Not that I'm aware of. No.
Nothing further.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Mr. Heinz, you're dismissed. Thank you.